Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Leah, and today I thought I'll share my positive birth story with you. So this little munchkin here, it's 7 days old now. So this time last week I was delivering her. I did make some notes because obviously it's been a week and everything was a bit of a blur. We were very lucky to get pregnant very quickly. So that was in August 2025 and I was 35 at the time. The pregnancy was very smooth, easy, no complications. I was very grateful, very lucky. I did then start to think, okay, about the delivery, and I knew that I don't want a C-section. I knew I wanted to try for a vaginal delivery. I didn't really know anything about it. I kind of assumed painkillers are part of it. Obviously, I knew of epidural. I actually at that point didn't know anything about any other painkillers or any other options. Or I didn't even know about the unmedicated delivery option, to be honest. As the pregnancy progressed and I did more research, I kind of decided I really want to try and have unmedicated vaginal delivery. Luckily, baby girl was head down pretty early on in the pregnancy. At least I didn't have to worry about any breach situation or anything like that. Kept watching the positive birth stories, so that's why I actually wanted to share my birth story, because I found it very helpful listening to other women's stories, how it went, just to understand the process, what happens. As a first-time mum, you kind of don't know anything, and I wanted to be prepared mentally mainly. So I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I did want a natural medicated delivery, but I knew obviously things can be unpredictable. Things can happen on the day or at the end of the pregnancy. Obviously, I was going to do what's the safest for everyone. So yeah, I was mentally prepared that it may not happen. But either way, I was aiming for the natural delivery. Actually, I did have to change my OB at around 28 weeks. That's right. Because he basically was pushing for C-section for no reason. He was basically blatantly lying to my face. At that point, luckily, I had done a lot of research. So at my appointment, when he started talking about C-section and that is the safest option, like for everyone, for no reason, like it wasn't specific to me, the advice he was giving, I couldn't sleep that night. I changed him. I found an amazing doctor who supported natural delivery, and I'm so happy that I found him. The pregnancy progressed. I kept doing my research, and then here we are at 39 weeks, which was supposed to be my last appointment. Everything went well initially, like we were chatting with the doctor, everything's great. Moved to the ultrasound part of the appointment. As soon as he put the monitor on the baby, he detected obviously the baby's heart rate, and straight away we kind of heard a different sound to usual. Usually the baby's heart rates are quite fast and it like toof, 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 quite loud and fast. But this time, at this appointment, it was more like toof, toof. And the OB straight away was like, I'm not happy. Then he said, okay, let's move me to the left side to see if baby will react. And the heart rate stayed the same, which was 90 beats per minute. Whole face changed. He started gathering everything. I said, okay, I'm going to send you to maternity ward and we're going to do an ECG scan on the baby's heart. We just want to make sure everything is fine. My husband at this point is panicking a little bit because he's obviously next to me. He has his phone and he's like Googling heart rate, baby, So he's like panicking, and I was trying to remain calm because whilst we were waiting for the appointment, I felt little baby move and she was very, very active. Actually, I forgot to say, whilst he was checking the heart rate, he also said, but you're contracting, can't you feel the contraction? And I'm like, no. He touched my bump and he said, your stomach is like rock hard, like a basketball. You're contracting right now and it's this long contraction that just doesn't end and you can't feel it. I'm like, no, I can't feel anything. Gave me some IV fluids, gave me 4 tablets. I'm not sure what they were. They were like little red pills, and the doctor said they're to kind of slow the uterus down and tone down the contraction down to make it stop, because it was non-stop. And actually on the way to the labor maternity, the doctor was like, if the heart rate doesn't recover, I'm giving you a Caesar right now, straight away. There's no time to waste. So once he gave me the IV and the tablets, the heart rate of the baby recovered amazingly. So it went from 90 to 100 and 20 to 150. So they measured it for maybe half an hour and it was stable like that. The doctor said, I want to monitor you today, so you're gonna stay here. He did an examination of my cervix and he said that I'm 2 centimeters dilated and that I'm contracting. So basically he said I'm in labor. I literally couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I was like, what do you mean I'm in labor? I can't feel anything. So for now I feel good. No pain, but apparently 2 centimeters dilated, and they're just about to treat me again. And Chris is having a nap. But he brought me food and water. I was so thirsty. The baby's heart rate is better now. Actually, to add, maybe like the 4 or 5 nights before all that happened, I had like very mild period cramps, but they weren't like coming and going or anything like that. They were maybe for 10 minutes, usually in the middle of the night or as I get into bed. I did feel my stomach quite firm at that point, but to be honest, I thought it's the baby pushing, or like obviously my belly is full, like with amniotic fluid, with everything. So I just thought my stomach just feels firm. But looking back now, I'm pretty sure I've had those contractions before, like the one that happened during the appointment. So I'm not too sure if they were Braxton Hicks at that point. I don't know. On the day of the appointment, I actually woke up at 3 a.m. and I couldn't fall back asleep. And I have heard that women who go into labor might experience some insomnia shortly before, the night before. So if that's the case, that was true for me. And also, I did clean up the house the day before. So me and my husband were joking, oh, the baby's coming. Throughout that day, they kept me in bed, gave me fluids, kept checking the baby's heart rate. And every time it looked great, which is amazing, thank goodness. They did check me one more time that day. I was still 2 centimeters, which I wasn't surprised. I knew, like, I didn't have any pain. So my doctor then came. He was very relieved that everything was resolved. And he said, okay, everything seems to be under control. I know you want natural delivery, so I'm happy to go through with that. The morning came, the doctor came to check me again. I was 2 centimeters, shocking. Well, he said, okay, listen, because you can't feel the contractions, I'm very nervous letting you go home because you are in labor. You're constantly contracting. Maybe you wouldn't know when to come in, you don't feel them. Basically, he wasn't comfortable with me going home. And to be honest, I wasn't either. He suggested to break your waters. So he did that. I mean, to be honest, it wasn't the best feeling in the world. Hello guys, so it's day 2. I basically have been contracting for the last 24 hours, but I couldn't feel anything. No pain, no nothing. So they kept asking me, can't you feel that? Do you feel any contractions? Because like the monitor, the ECG, shows the contractions. But no, I couldn't feel anything. I was not in pain. I didn't even have any cramps or anything. So this morning when the doctor came to check me at around 8:15, he said, so it's been 24 hours since I arrived and the heartbeat is looking great, baby's heartbeat. So he checked me and he basically suggested to break my water, so which he did. That was 3 hours ago. And ever since then, I've had like mild period cramps. And I could actually at that point feel in terms of the squeezing of the uterus. So it's like a muscle squeezing. I could feel that. But like I said, very mild pain, which is amazing. Haven't had a check since. And yeah, I'm just trying to walk around, sway, move, stay upright. I'm drinking lots of water, ate some dates. And yeah, just hoping that everything goes well and things progress. And yeah, Chris just went to grab some food because obviously I've had breakfast here from the hospital, but he hasn't. And yeah, he brought me lots of water. Like I drank 5 liters of water since yesterday 10 a.m. until like I basically finished the water early this morning. So I was really dehydrated. I think that's why the whole thing started. I actually felt a little bit dizzy and like lightheaded and definitely very thirsty just before the scan. So now looking back, I think that's what it is. And luckily she got very quickly, and ever since then her heartbeat is very good, strong. It reacts well to the contractions. So yeah, but they're still monitoring me because they obviously want to make sure that it's still the case, that you can handle the contractions well. I think that's for now. That's my little room. I was alone all night. There's like a second bed behind the curtain, so two beds in a room. That's the maternity ward. So yeah, I'm sure once it's time they'll move me to the labor ward too. But for now, I feel good, and I'll catch you soon. Just now walking around in the maternity ward. I have mild period cramps now, but I would say like pain level 1 to 2 out of 10. Still feeling good. So let's see how it goes. So yes, he broke my heart at 8:30. They did tell me you can rest. Obviously, we will still monitor the baby's heart. But in between that, it's best to move around, walk around, which I knew from all my videos that I've watched. So that's what we did. My husband came, we walked around the ward. I was doing lunges, squats, side lunges, also anything I could remember from the videos I've seen, and pregnancy stretches and pregnancy yoga, or how to speed up the early labor. So I was doing all of that. It's 11:30 now. I still had no pain, nothing. One of the midwives checked me and she said I'm 2.5 centimeters to 3, and that's all. They still asked me, so you can't feel the contractions? I'm like, no, I can't feel anything. My husband then Googled it. He said, what if it's silent labor? You know, some women literally don't feel a thing. Well, I hope so. I would say I started feeling like very light period cramping after that, between 11:30 and 1:30. But they were very mild, like pain 1 out of 10, you know. Very, very mild. I'm still like walking around, still doing my lunges. At 2:30, the cramps started to be a little bit more painful. On a scale of 1 to 10, level 3, we were still joking around, laughing, eating, whatever. It's nice. I'm using Chris's comb to squeeze. Actually, it helps. It's like a distraction. We'll see the next one. They're like every few minutes apart. I'm not timing them, but I would say 4 or 5 minutes. And they're about 30 seconds maybe.
It's tough. It's hard work. Really hard work to be. I mean, she has it easy.
Yeah. I mean, for now, exactly, I can talk, I can laugh in between. But I think when it goes to this transition, that's what's called the 6-7 centimeter mark, I think that's when I'm gonna be all quiet. But yeah, we'll see. So that was at 2:30. 3:30, we started timing the contractions because they were a little bit more painful. I just wanted to know, am I in early labor or am I in active labor? The baby, yeah. Hopefully we're here. Because they are 5 minutes apart. But I don't know. We shall find out. My husband and I timed it, and a lot of my contractions were basically 5 minutes apart. I know that that could be early labor still, or it could be active labor. I wasn't sure because the pain wasn't too much. I was convinced I'm still in early labor, and at this point is, like I said, 3:30. So I'm thinking, okay, it's been 5 hours. If they check me, I'm probably like 4 centimeters if I'm lucky. 3:30 comes around, and that's when things got serious. So at 3:30, the contractions definitely ramped up. They were definitely painful, definitely a lot more noticeable. In maybe 6 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. 6, 7, depending on the contraction. They were every 3 to 5 minutes. So that was like, okay, well, if they're 3 to 5 minutes and they were about a minute each, surely that's active labor. And I was like excited. I was like, yeah, I'm in active labor. That's actually great. Obviously, the pain was getting a little bit strong, but it was fine. You know, I was happy that there's progress. But then 4:30 comes, and at that point, okay, now we're talking. Definitely, like, I could feel the baby moving through my birth canal, like the pressure, and I don't know how to explain it, but you literally feel like the object of the baby moving through you. And that's when I used counter pressure, which, to be honest, I hadn't practiced. I had seen it in videos. I was like, it was quite painful. So at this point, I would say 8 when the contractions was like peaking. Sorry, I hope everything's fine. I had to change the battery. But yeah, so at this point, contractions are really ramping up. definitely stronger and closer together. And like I said, I wanted to try the counter pressure, which I had seen. I hadn't practiced it. I hadn't shown it to my husband or anything like that. But I'm like, because I went to the bathroom a lot trying to keep my bladder empty, and also dilation, the toilet is a dilation station. So I was like trying to sit there for a bit, even though it was definitely painful. But as the contractions came, I'm like leaning over the bathroom sink area and I'm like trying to squeeze. And to be honest, it really helped. Definitely reduced the pain a bit. Luckily, it wasn't too long that stage, but I was like, okay, the contractions are strong. They're close together. I better call the midwives. And also, actually, I was worried because I couldn't feel the baby move too much. And I know you're supposed to feel them. And also, of course, after the heart rate situation, I wanted to make sure that she's fine, that she's handling these strong contractions well. So at this point, like I said, it's about 4:30, I would say. And then I called the midwife. Oh, I was also actually sick one time. I think the contraction was so painful, so it made me nauseous. So I was sick once, just before she came. I told her that. So she said, okay, let's check you. I think she asked me if I want something for the pain, that they can give me Pathadone. I think that's what it's called. It's like an injection painkiller. I was like, well, are there any side effects? Well, yes, it can make you a bit sleepy and drowsy and nauseous, and it can also make the baby drowsy. So we cannot give it to you if you're close to delivery. But I was a bit like, it's a blur. It was starting to be a blur. Later it became more of a blur. But I was like thinking, well, I want to know obviously how dilated I am, which stage of labor I'm in. If I'm like still early, if I'm 4 or 5 centimeters, but the pain is so intense, I would definitely consider Pathadone. My husband basically said, well, why don't we wait for the doctor to check how dilated she is, and then we can make an informed decision. The doctor came and then he checked me. And of course, like, there's a contraction. He checked me, so it's like super painful. But anyway, next thing he says is I'm 8 centimeters dilated. So at 4:30, let's just go back. At 11:30, I was 3 centimeters, and at 4:30, I'm 8 centimeters. But really, the proper contraction started at around 3:30. I was like, what? That's amazing. So happy. That means just transition is left. And obviously, I know transition is the most painful, but also the shortest, and it's right before you give birth. So I was like, actually very happy. I was like, I couldn't believe it, from half a centimeter in whatever time to 8 centimeters. That was amazing. Obviously painful, but they were like, my doctor's like, first of all, no time for Pathadone, which I was happy. I was like, I mean, that's music to my ears. I didn't want medication if I didn't have to have it. But when I knew, okay, I've done so much of the work already, I can do the last stretch. And he said, okay, we are basically now going to delivery. At this point, I'm in the maternity ward, and now they're moving me to delivery. So, yeah, I had to go to the bathroom to empty my bladder, and then after that, everything kind of went to blur. I just remember I came out of the bathroom, they had wheeled my bed, and they said, okay, hop on here, and we're going upstairs. Once I got on the bed, I was like holding onto the side and like trying to escape my body basically, and trying to escape the pain. And also at that point, I could feel my uterus and my contractions basically starting to push. And I was like, my body's pushing. And then the midwife was like, don't push, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I'm like, I'm not doing it, my body is doing it. So anyway, they wheeled me upstairs, and then my doctor checked me again, and he says, you're 10 centimeters. I honestly couldn't believe it. I was like, what? I mean, that 10 minutes for transition. And I mean, this was very painful, but it went so quick. So then obviously they still say, don't push. And I'm like, no, but my body is pushing, I can't. And they're like, well, do everything you can not to push. Actually, throughout my research, or in all the stories I kind of heard, many women say transition was the worst for them. And then the pushing was less intense. It was not as bad. It was quick. I don't know, so many women seem to say that. And in my mind, I knew transition is very bad, but then I thought the pushing is not going to be as bad. So I got that wrong. For me, it wasn't the case. I would say it was as painful as a transition in pushing. So at this point, it's 5 o'clock. They waited a little bit until they basically said, okay, now you're gonna push. I was pushing, and it was very painful. I think because with each push, my doctor was trying to kind of help the baby. At this point, my eyes are closed. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not looking. Like I said, I'm still trying to escape my body. It's like I want out of body experience situation. So I'm not watching what's happening. I'm just focusing on the pain. I'm trying to breathe. My husband's there. He's like, squeeze my hand, squeeze my hand. Sorry, I had to take little baby girl. Where was I? So then I'm pushing. My eyes are closed, but I could feel that the doctor is kind of trying to help me. Every time I'm pushing, he's like reaching in or something. But he kind of said, okay, I think it was about maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes of pushing. He said, well, what's happening is every time you push, the baby comes, I can see the head. The baby's coming a little bit forward, but then when the contraction ends, retrieves back. What I would suggest is if we do a vacuum delivery to assist basically the pushing. I asked, is it safe for the baby? Obviously, I've heard of it. But to be honest, I didn't know much about it. But he said, yes, it's safe for the baby. I would say maybe for about 5-6 contractions, I pushed. Maybe less, maybe about 4. And at that point, I'm starting to feel the ring of fire, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. But I had heard in the stories that it's really bad and it's so painful. But I specifically remember one podcast where the mom telling her story said when she felt it, she was like, oh my God, that's so cool. The baby's head is coming. And it stayed with me. And then I felt the same way. And I just thought of that while that was happening. And I was also very excited because I knew, okay, once the head is out, then we are done, the worst part is finished. So I could feel the ring of fire maybe for 2 pushes, and then in total I would say maybe 6 pushes, and there she was. Like, it was amazing. She was crying straight away, and the pain just went, like, from all the pain until that point. Then it's like nothing happened. I was perfectly pain free. They put her on my chest. That was amazing. And then now I open my eyes and I look to the side. My husband is filming, and I'm like, oh my God. I don't want to see that video. I mean, I'm joking, but yeah, I need to see actually what clips he has, and maybe we'll include some in this video. My doctor said, okay, I'm just going to stitch you up, and you just have a little bit of a tear. And I said, oh, what degree? And he said 2nd degree. And I was like, okay, I can deal with that. I didn't feel the tear at all. I was never really worried about it. And 2nd degree, I know it's not that bad. So yeah, he spent the next 10 minutes stitching me up. After that, I was able to get up, have a shower, clean up, and then literally they wheeled me down back to my maternity ward room. And then I straight away started breastfeeding and kind of absorbing all that in. Later that night when I was trying to sleep, I remember my brain was just replaying the whole birth again and again, probably 4 times. I couldn't really sleep that night, probably got 2 hours. But then I was fine the next day, I don't know, adrenaline or something. But yeah, so that is my birth story, my positive birth story. I'm so thankful to my doctor, who obviously, it was very lucky we were there when we were, that he acted straight away. He was very professional and ready to act, but also supportive of my decision, but only if it was safe, of course. My husband said you couldn't have picked a better doctor. So that's my birth story, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it inspires you. And let me know in the comments how far along you are, what kind of delivery are you wanting, and if you have any questions. Maybe I forgot something, I'm not sure, but yeah, pop them in the comments. Also, I definitely want to make a video about the things I did, which I think helped with the faster delivery and dilation and just achieving the natural delivery I wanted. So I definitely will film that for you guys. And thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye.